1057 ABC Radio Darwin, your experts in the 2024 Northern Territory election.
The Northern Territory has great disadvantage in distances, and that's a real issue.
I think youth crime is an issue.
And also social workers and psychologists across the Northern Territory.
NT Votes 2024 on 1057 ABC Radio Darwin.
Yes, and welcome to one of our final election forums, candidate forums. 5 days left if you count today. That's all before we find out who will form in the next government for the Northern Territory. If you have voted early or if you're thinking of voting early, it might pay to hold off. ABC Radio Darwin has so far held a number of candidate forums in a number of the key seats that may decide the outcome of the election come Saturday. And it's been very interesting meeting the candidates and hearing what motivates them to put up their hand to run for public office.
I'm definitely running for CLP because I've seen them as the party that's united, the party that's actually got some plan for the future.
50% of Territorians rent, so we need to start implementing rent freezes.
I'm running because I'm really fed up with what's happening here.
And I figured, it's a cliche, but, good people sit around and do nothing, bad things continue to happen.
Well, I'm connected into the community. I'm a great advocate for the community, and I've listened over the last 5 years about what they need.
And it was a pretty easy choice when I look at the Greens' policies and how they stand for the environment.
We're all in this because we all want a better result and a better outcome for our community, and I think that essentially, I didn't want to be one of those people that just stood by and said, somebody should do something about it.
And I can see the footprints of that all over the NT in relation to oil and gas, and that's really alarming.
Might it change the way you vote? As of this morning, 26,000 of you have already voted, just over 17% of the eligible population. You will hear some different stats during the day, but the postal votes have just been sent out. No one's necessarily sent them back. So your single vote could make a difference to the outcome of the August 24 poll. Let's go there next.
I'm definitely running for CLP.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. This one.
NT Votes 2024. Analysing the issues that count. On 1057 ABC Radio Darwin.
I was going to say until you go to the polls, but most of you already have, about a third of you, in fact, according to the latest figures. The election is a guessing game. Some of the pundits say it could go either way on Sunday, and some of the independent voices are getting louder. This morning, we will take you to the electorate of Fannie Bay. It has been one of the most hotly contested electorates, and you'll hear from some of the candidates vying for the seat. I'll introduce you to them in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the electorate itself.
NT Votes 2024 on 1057 ABC Radio Darwin.
Created in 1974, the division of Fannie Bay takes in East Point, the Gardens, Parap, Ludmilla and of course Fannie Bay. Seen as a blue ribbon electorate, it changed hands between the two major parties in 1995. Since then, it has been all Labor. Former Chief Minister Michael Gunner held Fannie Bay between 2008 and 2022 when he resigned from politics, paving the way for current incumbent and Government Minister Brent Potter. At the time, Brent Potter was seen as a parachuted-in captain's pick. Will he be able to get it over the line this time around? Live from the ABC studios, you're with Adam Steer. This is the Fannie Bay Candidates Forum for NT Votes 2024.
Yeah, and a very good morning to our candidates this morning. Police Minister, Labor incumbent Brent Potter, welcome.
Morning, Adam. Thanks for having us.
Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party, hello.
Good morning.
And welcome. I'll just get you to come a little bit closer to the microphone there. And then Suki Dorras-Walker from the Greens. Hello, let's see how you go with this.
Hi, Adam.
So can you explain what's happened to you?
I'd just like to explain to our listeners that I have lost my voice after a very busy week speaking to so many voters. I've been at pre-poll all day, door knocking in the evening, and turns out that many conversations can end up making you lose your voice.
Lemon and honey, that's the idea.
Lemon and honey, diff lamb, got it all.
What's your, Laurie, what's your wives' tale for, not wives' tale, what's your advice for throats that are done?
I think definitely lemon and honey is the way to go. Warm tea.
I'll jump on that bandwagon as well.
Everyone's lemon and honey. Well, that's great. Well, we've started with agreement. That's fantastic. So in a moment, I'll ask each of you to briefly introduce yourself and explain why you have put your hand up for public office. We're then going to touch on a couple of important topics locals have told us are important to the electorate. And then just before 9, I'll give you 60 seconds each to explain why your voters should give you their support. If you go over 60 seconds, I'll dingle the little bell. But so far, everyone's been quite well behaved with that. But before that, let's have some fun. Shake off some nerves if you have any. So we're going to have a quick fire round. How Territorian are you? I'm going to start
greatest fear.
I'm going to start with you, Brent. Buffalo or beef burger?
Buffalo.
Laurie?
Beef.
Beef. No, Laurie. Midgies or mozzies?
Mozzies.
Suki? Malboy or Mozart?
Mozart.
Cool Spot or Super Pizza, Laurie?
Oh, both.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
High tide or low tide?
Ooh, low tide.
Okay, there you go. Congratulations. 105.7 ABC Radio. Darwin, you survived it. We are focusing on the seat of Fannie Bay. Adam Steer with you. The rules for today are pretty simple. This is a good opportunity for voters to find out more about you. Time is reasonably tight, so be precise with your answers. If you'd like to rebut what one of the other candidates says about the topics, please, you are most welcome to do so, but put up your hand and I will get to you, time permitting. Don't talk over the top of each other. It's boring for radio. So the first question we will start is, why are you running and what can you bring to the... Well, the first question, actually, what I want to know is who you are and why you decided to run. So I'm going to start with you, Suki.
So I'm a public school teacher and I'm now studying law while I raise my 2 kids, and I've also been a union organiser. I'm running, Adam, because this is an incredible community and we deserve so much better than what we have right now as our representatives. Like many people, I'm feeling extremely let down by Labor and the CLP. And every time I door knock, I meet people who just don't want anything to do with politics. I so often get this answer, oh, I just vote to avoid the fine. And that tells us something's really wrong with our democracy. And when I dig deeper, people tell me they're switched off because they don't see their voices being raised or in Parliament. And I think it's because our representatives are putting big corporations first and our community last. So I'm running because I want to show people that we deserve so much better than that, and I want to put the community back front and centre. Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party. Hi, who are you and why have you decided to put your hand up for public office?
Thanks, Adam. Basically, I'm a Territorian. I've been here for 30 years. My family's moved here to Alice Springs from Adelaide when I was a young teenager. I've travelled throughout the Territory. My husband's work and my work have taken me across the Territory to urban, rural, regional places. We've worked in community. We've been in and out more than you can believe. And basically, sort of in line with what Suki was saying, I think we're just disappointed by what's happening with the Territory. You know, I moved here and my family consistently said, you know, this is the best move that we made for our family. And I don't believe families can say that anymore. I think families are leaving the Territory saying that was a really bad move. We probably shouldn't have done it. So I'm standing up for the Territory to make sure that we can get back to that place where people are happy to be here.
But why did you decide to put your hand up for public office? Because that's going to be a lot of late nights going to the local scout group, meeting with the local, organisations.
Yep.
And those are things, sitting in Parliament.
Those are things that I already do. I volunteer. I've been a committed member of the community for a very long time, since I sort of went into adulthood, and even in my childhood years I was volunteering, coaching, all that kind of stuff. The reason I put my kids are a little bit older now. My youngest is 16 now, so I've got a little bit of flexibility to be able to manage that workload. I'm a really hard worker. I'm not scared and I'm not running away from the work that needs to be done. I think there's been a few things that have happened over the last couple of years that have made me put my hand up. My friends are leaving, my family's leaving, my parents have left Alice Springs and gone back to Adelaide because too many incidents happened when they were in Alice Springs. I'm ready to have a crack.
Brent Potter, current Labor incumbent and police minister. Tell me a little of you and why you've decided to do it all again.
Thanks, Adam. For those that don't know, I'm father of four, ex-defence, a veteran, 15 years, and service is absolutely my DNA. And you are right, you hit the nail on the head. It is late nights. It is taking phone calls and messages from constituents consistently. It doesn't stop, and you've got to weigh up that time with family and the job that comes with it. And we've thoroughly enjoyed our 2 years thus far. We live in the electorate. Our kids go to the local primary school, local high schools. We're members of local sporting clubs, and our daughters work at the local businesses, and that gives you the opportunity to understand the challenges locally. And we have our challenges, there's no doubt about that. But more importantly, we have absolutely the opportunities, and being a local means you understand those better than anyone else. We've done a lot of good change for the better in the electorate over the last 2 years. We've seen the preschool work start. We've seen the police CCTV be enacted in Fannie Bay. The Vesties Bundilla activation that we committed during the by-election, it will commence in the first week of September, and the consultation's been completed on that. But most importantly, around the community safety piece, we've implemented the private security patrols in Fannie Bay and PRAP, and you talk to any local, they're working, they want to see those continue. I get great satisfaction from service to people, and you'll see us on a Friday doing the lollipop down at PRAP. So from my perspective, it is steady as she goes, continue the work that we're doing, be integrated with the community, be that local that you get to vote in and understands the challenges and opportunities.
I'll just ask the other candidates, do you live in the seat of Fannie Bay?
Yeah, so I live locally, but there's one road that separates me from the electorate, but yes.
Because just to point out, it is not a requirement for the candidates to live in their seats that they're standing for. Do you live in the...
Yeah, I live similar to Laurie. I live just across Bagot Road, so a few hundred metres out.
I'm going to start with you, Brent. You only got in by a handful of votes last time, and you've had to shake off the spectre of racism from some past social media posts. I have to ask, as people may still be thinking this, have you reformed your ways in this area?
Adam, I think as a Member of Parliament or anyone in the public space, you have to own your mistakes, and I've done that. What they see is what they get, and absolutely I have. I mean, I'm part of the Labor Party. We value everyone in our community. We don't take a divisive approach to issues that we see and the challenges in the Northern Territory, and I've been very clear on the public record. At the end of the day, the constituents will be the ultimate say on that on August 24, and I've answered to them, and I'll continue to answer them if they give me another 4 years.
Suki, you're the highest profile candidate for the Territory Greens, and you came very close in the 2022 by-election. How do you rate your chances of your party heading into this election? Is there any chance of picking up a seat or two?
So we're running to win our first seat in Territory Parliament, and the campaign that I've run in Fannie Bay is the biggest campaign the Territory's ever seen from the Greens. We've got 100 volunteers involved. We're door knocking every night. We feel the conversations we're having with voters is people are saying we can't keep voting for the same two parties expecting different results, and they're ready to vote Greens this election. So we absolutely think that we can win a seat in Territory Parliament.
I mean, the Greens are very, very clear that you are anti-fracking. I mean, where are the proposals in terms of economic growth in the Northern Territory?
Firstly, I think it's really important to remember that gas doesn't bring the economic benefits that we keep being told that it does. Often we're being ripped off. It doesn't employ that many people past the construction phase, we need to actually think at what are industries that actually contribute to our economy without throwing Territorians under the bus. And let's look at our tertiary education sector. Let's look at our tourism sector. These are industries that we can grow in the Territory.
Laurie, you mentioned at the top of your bio that your husband is with the police. The CLP have been very loud about one of the ways they'd like to fix law and order is to lower the criminal age of responsibility from 12 to 10. You have an education background. A 10-year-old brains, those kids in year 4, are they developed enough to be held criminally responsible?
This is a topic that's very, very close to my heart, and I think one of the things that both Labor and the Greens keep throwing the CLP under the bus with, which is absolutely not true, is that we want to send 10-year-olds to jail. And that is not the case at all. What we want to do is make sure that when a child commits a crime, they are held accountable for that crime. And that's through programs that we can implement to make sure that there's a commitment there that they need to actually attend and participate in some sort of program to make sure that they know they're on the wrong path. So I absolutely support the lowering the criminal age of responsibility. And, you know, through my husband's work, and I think just in response to sort of Brent's comments before, you know, I've got a mixed race family. My daughter, one of my daughters is gay. We've got a lot of issues that have come through our families, and I don't support sort of the things that Brent has done in the past, and making sure that we move forward as a society and bring those kids along on that path, I think is very important.
We heard from the Criminal Lawyers Association last week. They, in fact, contacted me because they were so incensed by the policy. They say the policy is dog whistling. That last time we had children at the age of 10 who were criminally responsible, there was maybe one, maybe two children of that age that came into the system, and she gave me an example of the only one that came into the system in the last year was a young girl who was homeless. What do you say to that? I mean, there are systems in place already to look after children.
Yeah, I think those systems are failing us at the moment. We need to improve those programs.
So then we criminalise them?
Potentially. Depends on what happens through the court system, definitely. But we need to make sure that we hold those kids accountable and their families as well, and make sure that there's supports in place to address the root cause of what's happening, and then follow through to make sure they get on a better path. 8:45, ABC Radio, Darwin Adam Steer with you. The Fannie Bay Candidate Forum is on as we speak. Police Minister, Labor incumbent Brent Potter, the Greens, Suki Dorras-Walker and Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party are your guests. I'll start with you, Brent. You would like to respond?
I just think, they can say that they're not going to criminalise 10-year-olds. The reality is there is an outcome that can see 10-year-olds back in jail. And Beth Wild absolutely nailed it when she came out a couple of days ago. She also nailed it when it came to breach of bail. Breach of bail is still a criminal offence. It carries an imprisonment up to 2 years. It is the second highest charged offence in the Northern Territory. So they're being a bit sneaky about how they talk about this. For 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, there is a consequence. So yes, it may not be criminal in the context that they go to prison, which is what the CLP ultimately will see happen if they get back in, because that will be an end result. There is still the possibility they get there. We have the youth residential justice facilities that we've announced and enacted. We've got one in Tennant Creek, one in Katherine, Alice and Darwin. And they're the intermediate between bail-assisted accommodation and Dondale, but they are skills-focused. You can call them a boot camp if you like. We call them a youth residential justice facility.
Yeah, but the idea within the community is that crime is out of control. We have heard Laurie give examples of people who are leaving the Northern Territory in her family because they feel, rightly or wrongly, they feel that crime is out of control.
Don't disagree. And I mean, we're here to talk local, but I tell you, as a government, we've put $570 million into police, but we don't see that as being the solution to the problem. It's right now what we need. But if you talk locally, it's the things like the private security and PRAP that helps. It's the local liquor record in Fannie Bay that reduces alcohol. It's the community safety action plans. You can talk about introducing legislation, but that won't change a single thing. It actually doesn't address the long-term issues we have to work on.
Just responding to lowering the criminal age of criminal responsibility, we held a town hall, a panel on crime and justice in our community, and it was an incredibly well attended, and we had really great speakers. And we heard from somebody who'd been to prison herself. She was homeless and 18 the first time she went to prison, and she described it as going to crime university, where she met bigger and better criminals than herself, and she came out better connected, and that started a huge and long cycle of incarceration for this individual. If we are putting 10-year-olds in jail, we are starting that cycle of incarceration earlier, and we are giving them absolutely no hope for their future.
Let's go to let's talk about the electorate itself. What are you going to do if you win to help the seat of Fannie Bay thrive? And I want examples of what you will do on the ground in the seat individually. I'm going to start with you, Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party.
Thank you. I guess first and foremost, East Point Reserve is a major part of the livelihood in Fannie Bay, and one of our commitments is to make sure that we improve lighting, the walkways, bike paths, to make sure that people are actually able to utilise that facility a little bit better, and extended hours as well. We also want to make sure that that's a safe space, so that increasing the security patrols through that area, and we believe that if we can make some changes in regards to the legislation and in lowering the impact of crime, eventually we'll be able to reduce that security presence and make sure that everybody's safe. Secondly, I think the Waratah Football Club is obviously a big part of Fannie Bay as well. There's a lot of people that live in the area that participate in different sports at that club. We've committed to supporting the club to grow by developing in line with their master plan and making sure that we can support them with their extra lighting for the second field, extra change rooms, upgrades to change rooms, etc. And basically making sure that the Fannie Bay electorate is a livable place for people. At the moment, we're hearing people don't use East Point because they're scared and they don't want to use that space. I've walked through streets. I know that some people have said that the Labor government has done a great job at removing some of the crime. It hasn't been removed. It's been pushed out to other places. It's been cleared from some areas and pushed into other locations. So we want to make sure the whole of the electorate is supported through that.
Just got a text in from Sonia on 0487991057. I feel sad that the CLP and Greed candidates talking down the territory, saying it's so bad everyone's leaving. I've been here many years and it's still a great place across Australia. There have been changes everywhere. Stop bagging the NT, says Sonia on the text. Well, I might as well go to the Greens. Suki Dorras-Walker, what are you going to do if you win on Saturday individually for this electorate to help the people of Fannie Bay thrive?
Yeah, I've been speaking to a lot of people while door knocking, and there's some incredibly exciting local ideas that I'd really like to see flourish. And that would be also working with local council. It wouldn't necessarily all be from NT Gov position, but people really want to see community gardens in their electorate. They want to be able, in their neighbourhoods, they want to be able to grow food together. I'd like to be also looking at making sure that we're increasing greenery across the electorate. People talk about wanting more native plants and trees along Ross Smith Avenue and other roads, Dick Ward Drive as well. People would like to see that a lot more nicer to walk down with shade from trees. Baggett Road has come up so much in Ludmilla, and I've started a petition to fix Baggett Road for cyclists, for pedestrians and for public transport users.
What do you mean by that?
So if you have a look, when you're walking, when almost every time you drive down Baggett Road, you'll see someone running across 6 lanes of traffic to get to a bus stop, and they're often stuck in the bushes in the middle lane. People who live on the parallel street to Baggett Road, Mosaic Street, talk about hearing near misses often at night of pedestrians. Cyclists, I ride down Baggett Road to go to work, and it's a really unpleasant experience. It's hot, but also you're constantly having to navigate cars reversing from their driveways.
So what would you like to see, though?
So I'd like to see an improvement of the cycle lane. I'd like to get an
on-road cycle lane?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, I've been speaking with a local urban designer who's got some incredible mud maps that I'd love to show you, but it's radio. But also improve pedestrian crossings so people can cross safely, and potentially also looking at more lighting to avoid further pedestrian casualties. All
right. Well, and Brent Potter, the Labor incumbent, I mean, you've been backing the Bundilla Beach development for a first example.
Yeah, so the Bundilla Beach activation was a previous election commitment. That starts in the first week of September. Council's then got 2 subsequent stages, but locally there's 6 things I'm committed to. You'll see a Parap kids pool being installed. Parap pool's amazing, but there just isn't enough space for the kids to swim in. The water play area is great, but we want to see a pool. The basketball courts behind Parap pool will be reactivated. Everyone wants more space to play. We can use those courts right now, so we'll get some money into that. East Point absolutely is a gem within the Fannie Bay electorate. Getting the conservation zoning extended there, so any vacant land or any land that isn't utilised will be converted to conservation zoning, and then there'll be a $50,000 grant to Biodiversity NT to do a cane tone eradication aversion therapy there. There's some fantastic biodiversity at East Point, and that's what residents want to see, so that protects East Point going forward. The Waratahs need long-term certainty. It's all well and good to put lights and change rooms into a ground, but they need long-term certainty for their clubhouse, so we've committed to give them a 10-year lease down there so they actually can turn that into their home long-term. And then the continuation of the private security patrols in all around the electorate, being Fannie Bay and Parap, they make a huge difference to the residents. We'll continue them, and then grant funding to the Trailer Boat Club to upgrade the play equipment, and that doesn't just benefit the local electorate, it does everyone else. And then I know Suki just spoke about Baggett Road. Well, for the last 2 years, I've been absolutely working hard to get a strategic road assessment done on Baggett and fix Fitzer Drive on Baggett Road. Well, I just found out, or we've just provided to residents in the last 2 days, that they will see works commence later next year with consultation later this year to remediate Fitzer Drive intersection.
All right, we're just about to run out of time. What about we've got that debate very briefly, Laurie, and I don't know if you can answer this question. We've had this debate for a lot of years, the Blake Street development. Where do you sit with that? So this is behind the the old Channel 9 building at the top of the Botanic Gardens.
Yep, I've been speaking to a lot of members of the community in the gardens, and they're very opposed to putting a 7-storey building in Blake Street there. There's no infrastructure to support it at the moment. The roads won't cater for that many people.
So you wouldn't support a Blake Street development?
I wouldn't support a development of that size. I definitely think we have the ability to be able to put some sort of development. We need seniors housing. We need extra support in that space. So.
Okay. Let's get to your 60-second pitch because we are running out of time rapidly. I am going to start with you, Brent, because you can go first. So off you go in 3, 2, 1, shoot.
Thanks, Adam. Vote for myself is a vote for a local, with kids going to the local schools, being members of local clubs, being interconnected with local businesses. We've done a lot in the last 2 years. We've delivered on the Pratt Preschool, the CCTV, and very soon Vesties. There is 6 things that we want to do in the next 2 years, which is the Pratt Pool, the conservation zoning at East Point, biodiversity, the Waratahs Oval, and private continuation of the private security patrols. My constituents know what they get. They get a person who's always approachable. It doesn't matter what time of day that is. And then I follow through things for them. And I'm offering that up for another 4 years to deliver on the commitments, to continue doing Lollipop on Friday, and to continue to address their concerns around community safety, cost of living, and lifestyle amenity.
Thank you, Brent Potter, for the ALP. We'll just go down the line to Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party. Why should people vote for you? You've got 60 seconds from now.
Thanks, Adam. So I'm a local member of the community. I've been in the community for 20 years. I want to see Fannie Bay community thrive. I'm sick and tired of seeing the damage that is happening in the community, and I really want change. I'm somebody who is relatable to people in the electorate. My family, all of my 3 kids have been to school in the electorate. All 3 kids can actually, at the moment, work in the electorate. I've worked in the electorate. My work in the Department of Education in the senior roles that I've held meant I've worked really closely with all the schools in the electorate. I'm very well connected throughout that entire community, and I really want to support the growth and development of the electorate to make sure the whole of the NT is benefiting from that.
Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party, thank you. And finally, with the croakiest voice, Greens' Suki Dorras-Walker, why should people vote for you? You've got 60 seconds from now.
Adam, I want to show people that we can do politics differently. I want people to vote not just to avoid the fine, but because they want to bring integrity back to Parliament, because they can see that the community doesn't have to sit in the background while the red carpet is rolled out for big corporations who contribute nothing to the territory, because we can have smart and real solutions to community safety that funds domestic violence services and public housing and not more ineffective prisons. And so we can address cost of living and climate change by funding the renewables revolution. And so we can enliven the territory with initiatives from people like Music NT, and so we can have local ideas flourish in the electorate. And I really want people to vote this election because they can see that the community can be put front and centre of our politics again, and we can get big corporations out of politics.
Very well done to all 3 of you. The best of luck. Voting finishes on Saturday. I know a lot of people have already voted. You have heard from the Fannie Bay Candidate Forum, Police Minister and Labor incumbent Brent Potter. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Laurie Zio from the Country Liberal Party, thank you so much for your time. And the Greens' Suki Dorras-Walker, thank you so much for your time. You are on ABC Radio Darwin. It is almost time for the latest in ABC News. I reckon we're going to get to Rick Hind in just a moment.
NT Votes 2024. Analysing the issues that count.
The issues at the moment, it's all crime.
Health, policing, schooling.
I'm not really interested because I have a corrupt government.
Totally agree.
Heard on the radio earlier that the Northern Territory doesn't gain anything out of any of the gas that gets exported out of here.
Just over the years I've noticed the youth crime has increased dramatically.
Health and education are right throughout the Northern Territory.
The 2024 Northern Territory election on 105.7 ABC Radio Darwin.